So far, we had our task, so we were describing the scene at a fun fair, we looked at our criteria, and we thought about some of the descriptive techniques. I'd written down my first ideas and done a bit of research on Google Images. And then I started to think about breaking them down into the 5 senses, or I suppose the 6 senses because we include feel. So I think this is a good way to start with your planning. Write the headings: see, touch, taste, smell, hear, and feel. That will encourage you to think about using not just what you can see, but all those different senses, which will help to draw your readers into your description. So now I've got those headings, I've started to fill those out. I haven't really thought about my techniques yet, but I'm just filling down some ideas that I can include in there, and then I'll start to form it into more of a structured plan. So things I can see are the bright lights of the rides, and the different sort of people there. We've got the groups of teenagers, the children with their parents, and the couples. I think they're the sort of main 3 groups we'll have. We'll also have the ride operators. And I started to think about what they might look like if we're just being very stereotypical. They maybe got a kind of baggy t-shirt on, and fingerless gloves, those are kind of the clothes I'd picture, and maybe smoking a cigarette and looking quite bored. And I started to think about how that might fit into my descriptive piece. I could actually do quite a nice contrast between how excited the riders are as they sit on the ride, ready to have this exciting experience, and these ride operators who are just bored of it because they do it every day and it's always the same for them, so it's not exciting at all for them. When I went to touch, I thought about the coins rubbing between the fingers, I thought about the toffee apple, and again I think that can be quite a strong image there. I'm starting to think of some sort of description I can do in a paragraph, someone biting into this crisp sticky shell of a toffee apple, and you can hear the crunch of it, and you can see the very edge of it kind of sticking to their lips as they bite into it, so that could be quite a strong image in the description. I just thought maybe you'd be leaning against the chains around the rides as you're queuing up, so you'd feel that cold steel and the hardness of the bars as the operators put those down and they sort of press into your stomach before you go on the ride. In terms of taste, we've got the sugary sweetness of a candy floss before it melts in your mouth and goes all hard. We've also got maybe the juicy meatiness of a burger dripping with ketchup and mustard. So that's another taste I can include there. In terms of smell, you'd have the petrol smell from the rides because they're running sort of all night on these dirty old engines which are used night in, night out in all different parts of the country. We've got the smell of the mud and the grass which has all been trampled underfoot by so many people going through presumably a field because it's just been put up in a local field, this fun fair. And you also got the smell of all the food cooking, so all the sweet things, and all those sort of combined. So I need to think of some way I can show that they all mingle together and maybe to create quite an overwhelming smell that's sort of one sort of artificial, strong, maybe nasty smell. We've got a natural smell but it's all trampled up and churned up, and then we've got this sweet smell on top of it, and that's all going to combine to create something quite strong. So hopefully I can put that across in the description. In terms of what I can hear, there's the loud thumping music. We've got the ride announcers as they're calling out for people to come onto the ride. I thought about maybe focusing on some of the stalls where people can win prizes. So we might have a shooting range and we've got the pop of the pellet rifles on the range there. And as people win or lose, they're going to be celebrating or getting angry. So you might have one person shouting like, "Yeah, I won," and choosing their prize, and another person is getting angry because they think the game operator's cheating, and actually, maybe they're shouting, "This is a fix, you've glued them down," because they can't win. I also thought maybe might have some quieter moments, particularly as people are walking towards the fair, so they might hear the crisp crunch of dried leaves under their feet. And maybe this could be a good way to build into the louder noise. So if I'm thinking about the structure, I want to start it off very quietly with this crunchy leaves, build it up to this loud thumping noise, and I have a nice contrast there. Based on my Google research over here, I also thought about maybe having the dodgems bumping together, and maybe we have teenagers sort of shouting and taunting each other because they're trying to hit each other on the dodgems. And then maybe I could contrast this with maybe a parent and child who are trying to keep out of the way. So you have maybe these rowdy teenage lads who are competing and trying to hit each other as hard as they can, and then maybe you have this parent with their child, and they're just trying to have a nice little drive around, but there's all this crashing going on around them, so they're trying to avoid that. And then I sort of thought about how people would feel at the fun fair. So maybe they've eaten too many hot dogs, too much candy floss, now they feel dizzy or sick from being spun around on the rides. There's also the excitement before the rides get going, and again that idea of the ride operators being bored. So that just gives me some ideas to go with. It's starting to take a bit of a form. What we need to do now is put this into an ordered structure. So what will appear first, what will appear second, and how will I finish it all off? So that's what I'll do in the next video.